Shaktan was a young man and he was made the king of Cochin, and then the Samudris couldn't. So he bought back, he fought and got back all the land the Samudris have taken away. So if the leader is not powerful enough, problem. That's Kerala history, So whenever the Jewish people, they had a persecution in Palestine, they found India, especially Kerala, as a haven for them. The only country that did not persecute Jewish people in the history is India. You know that? The only country where Jewish people were not persecuted is India. They were never persecuted for some reason or other. But in every other place where they went, they were persecuted. In Bombay they have, how many synagogues they have? 2 or 3? Yeah, they have. I don't know how many Jewish families are there here. Kerala we don't have anymore, only 3 families left. All the others were returned. There is actually a Kerala section in Israel. You can go, they still speak Malayalam. Yeah. And there are 3 families now left. And because only 3 families, even they cannot eat any beef or mutton, because they don't have people to kill it ceremoniously. They can kill chicken at the home. They don't have to say too many words of prayer for, Yeah, but beef and all, they have to have their ceremonious way of killing. So they don't. I interviewed one of the Jewish person there. I know a little bit Hebrew, so I just walked into their place and they said Shalom. So they surprised, Shalom. So they asked me, you come from Israel back? No, I said I'm a Malayali staying here. Then why did you say Shalom? So they were excited. Then I asked them a few things, I wanted to know a few things. So they were very gracious to answer me. So I asked them about their diet and they said we cannot eat any mutton or beef. We are satisfied only with, kosher meat. That's what they like. The Muslims call halal. Halal, yeah. These people have kosher meat and kosher salt. They have special salt. You have to put in the meat, punch it with pork, so that with a knife, so that all the blood in the cells will come out when you put the salt. They cannot eat blood, so they will, punch it and spread this kosher salt, and then you can see all the water and the blood will ooze out. So there's a ceremonial way of, eating them. It's nice to learn from them. You can eat healthy meat, not in Maharashtra. Now, anyway. You can go from here to Bangalore to eat, or you can go to UP. Goa also they have imported large. They have, okay. They cannot kill it there, but they can import it, yeah. That's good. I know that when I go to Felix, they cook nice roast, beef roast, and I love it. Yeah. This family is not going back? Well, they don't want to go. These 3 families, well, they have a synagogue here. They wanted to maintain the synagogue. That's one reason. Secondly, they have business interest here. They may go. They said we will go one day. Yeah, they will go one day. Who was the richest Jewish man in India who? Yeah. Yes, yeah. There is a family name. They are the Scotter family. Yes, the Scotter family. They all gone. There are big business operations in Kerala. They all. Yes, the Godrej and all. They were very big people. They have gone. So you can go to Israel and meet some of these people, and of course, a lot of Indians are from the northeast. I was surprised. I was Calcutta also. I was going Manipur. Just one evening, I took a walk in Manipur. We had a church meeting there. So with a friend of mine, we were going, and then I saw the Star of David, the sign. I said, the Star of David here. Then I saw the synagogue, Jewish synagogue. So I walked in, upstairs it was. I just walked in, there were about 30, 40 people. I think after prayer they were. So I said, can I come in and have a word with you? He said, you should come in. And he said, You don't look Jewish people. You look very much, they look very much like the Mongoloid, Mongolian feature and all that. So I said, how come you are Jewish? We said, we are. Then one of them pulled out their Jewish passport and show me, we all possess, we come and go. So a lot of our people gone, and these people also go. There are some like 120 or 30, Manipuri people. They claim they were the lost, part of the lost tribe of Manasseh. That's what they claim. Also from Nagaland or from some other places also some have gone. Even from Ethiopia, black Jews have gone to Israel, The pure black Jews, they are Jewish people. They test their genes and all that, they find out they are...
They can be black Jews?
Well, that's not very difficult. I was in Kenya for a short time. When I came back, everybody said, Karambanayallo. The sun there, it's you always wear a jacket or something because it's cold, but it's so hot. Your face, body gets very dark. So I think these people, were exposed for generations and generations. Maybe when the children are born still fair, but very soon they change their color. So they're black. Then for the Jewish people, you can marry a pagan woman because the genealogy go only by man. A Ruth can come in, or a Rahab can come in. It doesn't hurt their genealogy. But a Jewish woman marrying a pagan, she loses their Jewish heritage. She has to go, So it's possible that some of the interracial marriages, like Moses, of course, married an Ethiopian girl, became a family problem. So that was permitted, so the color may have changed.
No conversion to Judaism.
These people may have converted. Definitely they will convert. Because it's difficult for women to be converted because circumcision is a sign of conversion. It's only for men. So their children will be converted. Boys will be circumcised, girls will be married maybe to Jewish boys. That way they will definitely become. In AD 190, from Alexandria, a man called Demetrius, he has sent another man called Pandrenus, Pandrenus. When he came here, it is said that he has seen Christian presence in India. Eusebius, in his ecclesiastical history, has made a reference to that one. That is in 190. That is towards the end of the 2nd century. So it's very much possible that Christianity, the Syrian migrations started. They say that 2nd, 3rd centuries migrations came. So already a lot of people came. These Syrian people who came from Syria, they actually a lot of them intermarried with the Kerala women. Yes. They will take women, but to maintain their genealogy. In 1706, the Danish mission was established in Tranquebar, I mentioned earlier. This place became the headquarters for the future Protestant work. Actually, that's where the Protestant work in India began. It was a missionary by name Bartholomew Siegenberg who first came to Tranquebar. The British governors were not sympathetic to Christian missions, as they were afraid that conversions would adversely affect their business interests. So they put Siegenberg in jail for 4 months. However, hundreds of people were converted to Christianity by the work of this man. In 1719, Danish mission was expanded by the addition of new missionaries. and more conversions took place. Danish mission started printing press, schools, seminaries, etc. It is said that at the close of the 18th century, Danish mission had more than 50,000 believers. Danish mission also printed a Tamil Bible. Yes. Most of the areas of the Danish missions were later taken away by sea erosion. So they have lost their headquarters and everything. Tranquebar is by the side of the Arabian Sea, so it's all gone. Siegenberg had made great contributions to mission work. He is the first person to start education for girls. That's notable because in India girls were not educated. This man died at the age of 36. He worked for 13 years in India. But he had done so much in that. Indian government published a postal stamp honoring him, So, his contributions were taken note of even by the government. The Baptist missions began its work in West Bengal. Who was the first missionary? William Carey. He was the first Baptist missionary to come. In 1793, the Carey sailed to India under the Baptist Missionary Society. His greatest work was in translation of the Bible. In 26 Indian languages, either fully or partly, William Carey translated the Bible. Think of that, in 26 languages. The Marathi Bible is translated by him only. What a man he is. Bengali, he has learned Sanskrit, Hindi, he made a dictionary, grammar books, so much, Later the East India Company hired him as a language teacher for the ICS people, for the Indian Civil Service. William Carey had no college education, nothing. But he was a genius, I guess when you are either you should be educated or should be born a genius. What's the secret to born a genius? I never no, because I'm not born a genius, so I cannot understand that. Some people are born like that. Yes. Krishna Chandrapal was the first convert to William Carey after hard work of 12 years. It took 12 years to convert one person in West Bengal. In 1800, December 28th, he was baptized by Mr. Carey. That was a landmark in the history of India, that the first Indian Hindu was converted by this man. But in South India, many were converted. But in 1804, he was ordained a pastor, this Krishna Chandrapal, of the Baptist Church. Krishna Pal had written many Bengali songs. Baptist mission spread to northeast. American Baptist missionary Nathan Brown in 1836 came to Assam. Along with another missionary, Oliver Cutter, he began to work. An Assamese known as Atmaram Sharma became the co-worker. Nathan Brown has done great literary work in Assamese. He published an Assamese newspaper and also a grammar book. These men, I was fascinated. These men came from this Europe. They come here, learn the Indian language. They learned grammar. They write books for us. Is it because of their intellectual advancement or is it because of their adventurous character? Both maybe. Because simply with adventurous character, they cannot do that. So they are very smart people. Very smart. When Ravangar came here, first time he came with his whole family. Their first daughter, eldest daughter Rachel, she is a linguistic expert. Very interestingly, we sat down and she asked me to say a few sentences in Malayalam, and in half an hour she was able to say that the declension and the conjugation. So this belongs to this order of verbs. The endings. I was fascinated. So they have that sort of mind, Just listening to a language, then she was able to say that, okay, this word, yes, I give a word, she will say this will end like this, present tense will be like this, past tense will be like this, and future tense will be like this. So fast she was able to copy a language. Here Malayalam is very difficult for me. All the conjugation declensions of Malayalam, it's so difficult. Sandhi samasam എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നതേ ഭയങ്കര പ്രയാസമല്ലേ നമുക്ക്. They have no problem. She went to Israel to learn Hebrew. She sat down the class. And she said, "Professor, this is not the way to teach Hebrew. I can teach you." She was made a professor in that Hebrew university to teach Hebrew. She said, "You are teaching the old Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, not the current, the biblical Hebrew wrongly." Because she, of course, all the children were taught from very childhood Hebrew and Greek. Those languages. But not all of them are good, but she was. So there's a mind, I think, a linguistic mind. Some people can just hear a language and they can just catch it, Yeah. Malayalis, I don't know, they're linguistic very much. But the people say that Malayali can learn any language. That may be true. But how perfectly they learn it, that's a different matter. The grammar and all that. They can talk. They can survive anywhere. Yeah, that's true. Because they have an advantage of their tongue, because we have all these la, ra, ma, ra, all these sound. Any language you can, because your tongue has to be turned this way and this way, twist your tongue, then only. The others cannot say, So we have that advantage of having 56 letters. Yes. In 1836, gospel came to Meghalaya. Yes. It was a man known as Duwan who received baptism in 1836. He belonged to the Khasi tribe, Khasi tribe. Yes. Another man, Anna, also took baptism with the Duwan. These two became co-workers with missionaries. And they have done a good work in Meghalaya. Ray James, who came to India as an employee of East India Company, got saved here in India. He resigned his job, went to Sarampur University to study Bible, and later he was ordained as a worker of the Baptist mission. In 1836 he moved to Guwahati, Assam, and started the Baptist work there. He baptized 12 men soon. The first Baptist church of Guwahati was started. That's the way. AD 1847, a young man named Hubi Koniyaku, I don't know the names of Hubi Koniyaku, was converted and was baptized from Nagaland. Nathan Brown baptized him in 1847, September 2. But this man died shortly because of cholera. Nagaland has celebrated their 125th anniversary, 150th anniversary of Christianity, something like that, few years back. The Khasis of Meghalaya. It was a Presbyterian missionary called Thomas Jones who came to Meghalaya to work among the Khasis. He reached in Cherupuncha, where in 1841. His wife delivered a baby the second day after reaching Meghalaya, and the baby died. It was a shock for them. However, they persisted in the work. Jones learned Khasi language and preached in Khasi. God prospered their work. He wrote many books in Khasi language. He translated parts of the New Testament into Khasi language. Cherupuncha, or where the lot of rain. Cherrapunchi, yeah. Malayalam. He made his headquarters. Having finished his work in Khasi Hills, he returned to England in 1847 and died there in 1849. Yes. So the Northeast were slowly, reached in the 1800s and the 1900s. John Jinks In 1832, John Jinks came to India as a chaplain of East India Company. In 1852, he became the priest of St. James Church in Delhi. During Kumbh Mela, John Jinks, along with his friends, went to Ganges and shared Christ to the crowd there. This became a point of much controversy among the whole Christians and Hindus. Some against what John did, some in favor of it. But the Hindus and Muslims were against and they condemned him. John Jinks continued his work visiting orphanages, jails and schools. As a result, many Hindus and Muslims became Christians. Among those who accepted Christ were the physician of the Mughal emperor, Dr. Chaman Lal, and Ramachandra, a professor of the Delhi University. John Jinks baptized both of them in the midst of many at the St. James Church in Delhi. Islamic leaders asked the emperor to dismiss the palace doctor, from the service. But the emperor said that I don't want to mix medicine and religion. So he remained. John Jinks have done many contributions to literature and education. The famous St. Stephen's High Schools were started by him. 1853-54, today the St. Stephen's College and all that, the John Jinks is the founder. In 1857, May 10, worship was going on in St. John's Cathedral, which was some 30 miles away from Delhi. Hundreds were in attendance with children and women. Hundreds of soldiers of the British Army, all Indians, rushed into the cathedral and started shooting. There were hundreds of British soldiers attending the meeting. That night, over 700 Christians were killed. What is it known in the Indian history? The first freedom struggle, others called Sepoy Lala and all that, After this, the cavalry moved to Delhi. Infantry also moved. They killed every Christian meeting there. They moved to Jinks' home. They killed John Jinks, his wife and children. They also killed Ramachandra in the street. They shot Dr. Chaman Lal. They destroyed the army building. They destroyed the hospital. They shot dead the principal of the University of Delhi, Francis Taylor. Those Christians fled from the church due to fear, took asylum at the Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah. There were 52 people. The emperor protected them, but the mob asked the emperor to give them. He refused, but by violence they entered in and killed every one of them. They also killed 73 British women and 124 boys and girls. The reason for this massacre was that they were Christians. John Jinks and thousands were martyred. He went to the Kumbh Mela. That was very offensive. Of course, there were many other interpretations about it. The using of the fat from the cattle for lubricate the and all that. There's many theories, but basically, this was a religious massacre. Yes, there was a memorial conducted for this one, and of course, the man who was invited to speak at the memorial was nobody other than Charles Spurgeon. He was only 20 years old that time. Yes. He didn't come. In England they conducted a memorial for the British people who had died,
It's taken there.
The bodies they had a memorial. They had a memorial, They had a memorial. So Spurgeon at that time was very young, but he was very most popular preacher in England. A man called by God. Okay, we'll take a break here.